I give Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scar Giver, a 2.8 out of 10. Stick around if you're willing to find out why. The second half of Zack Snyder's space opera epic Rebel Moon came out this weekend, and I watched it. The first 30 minutes of Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scar Giver, consists of two things. Really clunky exposition I couldn't find a way to care about, and the epic sunset battle to harvest grain. Ah, sweet grain. Often in slow motion. So it's like this. When Admiral Atticus Noble came to the moon of Velt on behalf of the Regent Belisarius, he encountered Cora, who is actually Arthelaus, a former soldier of the Motherworld, and the assassin of Princess Issa, the daughter of the slain king.
Cora ventured on a quest, accompanied by the farmer Gunnar and the scoundrel Kai, in search of warriors like
General Titus, Nemesis, the cyborg swordmaster, Darian Bloodaxe, leader of the insurgency against the Motherworld, and Derek, the noble prince of a conquered people who ride the griffin-like creatures known as Bennu.
No. That's too much exposition. Let's harvest some grain. Maybe slow motion doesn't make everything cooler after all, Zack. Ahem. It was at this point in the film that I had a realization. Dune 2 dropped for home release. I could either finish Zack Snyder's newest film, or I could spend $30 to rewatch a movie I'd already seen 3 times. So worth it. I couldn't bring myself to get back to Rebel Moon until the next day, and then it took effort. But eventually I pushed back in. I did it, dear viewer, so that you don't have to. Thank me later. This movie is a bad retelling of Seven Samurai, dressed up as an expensive Star Wars fan fiction. It doesn't even try to pretend otherwise. It's literally the quest to gather 7 different warriors to defend a small farming village from the forces that want to come steal their grain.
Ooh, baby, yeah, baby, ooh, baby.
Grain.
Yeah, baby, yeah, baby, nah, baby.
Sorry, yeah. Where was I? I can't even get past the clunky exposition and the weird names.
You know what would be a really kick-ass name?
I'm Triple X.
What name? Who are you, Seal?
Dolomite is my name, and fucking up motherfuckers is my game.
Taser face!
Meet Cobra. He does the job nobody wants.
Now that's a team I can work with.
Why don't you pick a common name like a normal person?
Steven Seagal is Mason Storm.
No, you're not, because that's a made-up, dumb, fucking fairy tale name, you fuck!
Seriously, the names in this thing are like the player characters of a middle school D&D game. If all the players were big Vin Diesel fans. And now that I said that out loud, I guess that middle school D&D players are pretty much his target audience, huh? If you're gonna make your movie a blatant ripoff of other stories, you could do worse than Star Wars and Seven Samurai. But the problem with imitating classics is that you're bound to suffer in comparison. Take a story that hasn't been well received and show us how it's done. Don't take some of the best stories ever told and wipe your ass with them. The best thing I can say about these movies is that they do look pretty awesome. Zack Snyder would do great at making music videos instead of feature films. In fact, these movies aren't a total waste. They'd be cool to have on in the background while you play music or something and basically ignore the so-called characters and plot. This movie was bad enough, but then it had to add a cherry to this turd sundae in the last scene by practically turning directly to the camera and announcing their intention to follow up with yet another movie in this franchise. So this one cements it for me. Zack Snyder has talent, primarily visual talent. He can make things that look cool, but coming up with original stories and characters is not his strength. All of his best work, 300, Watchmen, Justice League involve pre-written characters and stories. I know that the Snyder cut of these movies is coming in the future.
What if take this script, I make you a PG-13 version that you can just blast into the world, and hopefully as many people see it as possible. And then you let me, as a bonus, you just let me make this version exactly as I think.
And we will inevitably be gaslit for judging these uncut gems because they weren't his true vision or whatever, but I'm sorry. If you serve me turds in a blanket before the meal, I don't much care what you bring out next. I'm not hungry anymore. I rank Rebel Moon at a 2.8 on my personal scale, placing it in category 3. Bad. It's just so bad. With or without a foreskin.